They were the picture-perfect family, the kind you see in commercials and magazine spreads. Chris and Shanann Watts, with their two adorable daughters, Bella and Celeste, seemed to have it all. They were the epitome of happiness, always seen laughing and playing together. Their social media feeds overflowed with smiles, vacations, and declarations of love. Every post was a testament to their seemingly perfect life, filled with joy and togetherness. Chris, a burly man with a charming demeanor, appeared to be a loving husband and doting father. He was often seen playing with his daughters, his face lighting up with pride and affection. Shanann, vibrant and full of life, chronicled their journey as a family with infectious enthusiasm. She was the heart of the family, always capturing their precious moments and sharing them with the world. To their friends and family, the Watts were living the American dream. They were the family everyone aspired to be, always surrounded by love and laughter. They had recently purchased a beautiful home in Frederick, Colorado, a testament to their hard work and success. It was a dream home, a place where they planned to build a lifetime of memories. Their story seemed to be a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of love and commitment. They were the embodiment of a perfect family, always together, always happy. But behind the curated online persona and the outward facade of happiness, a sinister reality was brewing. The perfect smiles and joyful moments were hiding something much darker. The seemingly idyllic life they portrayed masked a much darker truth. Beneath the surface, there were cracks in their perfect facade, cracks that were growing wider each day. The smiles hid secrets, the laughter concealed pain. The Watts family was struggling with issues that no one could see, issues that were slowly tearing them apart. The Watts family, unbeknownst to the world, was teetering on the precipice of a tragedy that would shake the very foundations of their community and leave an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. The facade of perfection was about to crumble, revealing the heartbreaking reality beneath. Behind closed doors, the marriage of Chris and Shanann Watts was crumbling. The facade of a perfect family life was beginning to show its cracks, revealing the turmoil that lay beneath. The financial strain of their lifestyle weighed heavily on their relationship. Mounting debts and overdue bills created a constant source of tension, making every conversation a potential battleground. Chris, burdened by the pressure of providing for his family, grew increasingly distant and withdrawn. The weight of his responsibilities seemed to crush his spirit, leaving him a shadow of the man he once was. Shanann, sensing her husband's emotional detachment, desperately tried to salvage their marriage. She reached out to him, hoping to rekindle the connection they once shared, but her efforts were met with cold indifference. She yearned for the man she had fallen in love with, the man who had promised her forever. Memories of their happier times haunted her, making the present reality even more painful. Her pleas for connection, however, fell on deaf ears, pushing her further into despair. The emotional chasm between them widened, leaving Shanann feeling isolated and heartbroken. Unbeknownst to Shanann, Chris had found solace in the arms of another woman, Nicole Kessinger, a co-worker who offered him an escape from the pressures of his life. Their secret relationship provided him with a sense of freedom and excitement that he had longed for. As his infatuation with Nicole grew, so did his desire to break free from the shackles of his marriage and the responsibilities that came with it. The allure of a new life, unburdened by his past, became increasingly irresistible. The once unbreakable bond between Chris and Shanann had fractured, leaving behind a chasm of resentment, deceit, and a chilling premonition of the horrors that were to come. The foundation of their marriage had crumbled, setting the stage for an unimaginable tragedy. August 13th, 2018 began like any other summer day in the quiet neighborhood of Frederick, Colorado. The sun shone brightly, casting long shadows on the well-manicured lawns. But for the Watts family, this day would mark a horrific turning point, forever etching their names into the annals of true crime history. Shanann, returning from a business trip in the early hours of the morning, was excited to be reunited with her family. She had no way of knowing that this would be her last day alive, that the man she had vowed to spend her life with was about to commit an unspeakable act of betrayal. As the day wore on and Shanann's calls went unanswered, a sense of unease began to creep in among her friends and family. Her usually active social media presence went silent, her vibrant energy seemingly extinguished. Something was terribly wrong. As concern for Shanann and her daughters grew, friends and neighbors rallied together, desperately searching for answers. Chris Watts, initially putting on a facade of a worried husband and father, appealed to the public for their safe return. His performance, however, was unconvincing, his demeanor strangely detached for a man whose entire family had vanished without a trace. The police, sensing inconsistencies in Chris's story, began to suspect that he knew more than he was letting on. His calm exterior crumbled under the weight of their interrogation, revealing a web of lies and deceit that pointed to a horrifying truth. Chris Watts, the man who had presented himself as a loving husband and father, was about to become the prime suspect in the disappearance of his own family. As the investigation intensified, Chris Watts's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. His lies, once seemingly airtight, unraveled under the scrutiny of the police. He changed his story multiple times, each iteration pushing him further into a corner of his own making. He initially claimed ignorance about his family's whereabouts, desperately trying to deflect suspicion. However, as evidence mounted, he was forced to confess to a crime more heinous than anyone could have imagined. The truth, when it finally emerged, was chillingly cold-blooded. Chris Watts, driven by selfishness and a desire for a fresh start, had murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. Section 6. The Ghastly Discovery. The nation watched in horror as the details of Chris Watts's crimes unfolded. He confessed to strangling Shanann in a fit of rage after she confronted him about his affair and threatened to take their daughters away. He then drove their lifeless bodies, along with his 2 young daughters, to a remote oil work site owned by his employer. At the site, in a scene of unimaginable cruelty, he smothered his daughters, Bella and Celeste, before callously disposing of their tiny bodies in separate oil tanks. The image of their innocent faces, forever frozen in time, seared itself into the collective consciousness of a nation grappling with the depths of human depravity. Section 7. Justice and its Aftermath. The criminal justice system moved swiftly in the case of Chris Watts. Faced with overwhelming evidence and a mountain of public pressure, he pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder to avoid the death penalty. In November 2018, he was sentenced to 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, a punishment that many felt paled in comparison to the gravity of his crimes. The judge, visibly shaken by the details of the case, called Watts' actions the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. Section 8. The Unanswered Questions. Despite the guilty plea and the seemingly open and shut nature of the case, questions lingered in the aftermath of the tragedy. What drove a seemingly ordinary man to commit such an unspeakable act? Was there something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? Something that went undetected by those who knew him best? Some experts pointed to the concept of family annihilators, individuals who, often driven by a combination of financial stress, narcissism, and a desire for control, lash out at their families in the most extreme way imaginable. Others speculated about the role of Chris Watts' mistress, Nicole Kessinger, and whether she played a more active role in the murders than she initially admitted. Section 9. A Legacy of Loss. The Watts family tragedy sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving an enduring legacy of loss and heartbreak. The story of Shanann, Bella and Celeste Watts is one that has touched the hearts of many, highlighting the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of human behavior. The case became a grim reminder of the dark side of human nature, the fragility of life, and the devastating consequences of domestic violence. It brought to light the hidden struggles within seemingly perfect families, urging society to look beyond appearances and recognize the signs of distress. In the wake of the tragedy, Shanann's family emerged as vocal advocates for victims of domestic violence, working tirelessly to raise awareness and support for those trapped in abusive relationships. Their efforts have sparked conversations nationwide, encouraging communities to take a stand against domestic violence and offer support to those in need. They channeled their grief into action, determined to ensure that their daughter and granddaughter's deaths would not be in vain. Through their advocacy, they have provided a voice for the voiceless and hope for those who feel trapped in silence. The Watts family tragedy serves as a stark reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places, often hidden behind a veneer of normalcy and respectability. It challenges us to remain vigilant and proactive in recognizing and addressing the signs of domestic violence. It is a story that continues to haunt the nation, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable realities of domestic violence and the importance of recognizing the warning signs before it's too late. The legacy of the Watts family serves as a powerful call to action, reminding us that we all have a role to play in preventing such tragedies and supporting those affected by domestic violence.